Good morning. It's Saturday morning, 4 a.m, and I'm off to photograph a lighthouse. Well, good morning everybody. I've made it here to the Norah lighthouse, and I think we're in for a spectacular morning here. The sun's just starting to creep up now, so what I'll do, I'll position myself in front of the lighthouse, I'll set the cameras up, and I'll explain to you just how you too can photograph this great fantastic lighthouse here at Norah Head. Let's go. Okay, I've set the camera up, and I'm breaking all the rules here, because in photography you're constantly taught the rule of thirds. Well, in this instance I'm shooting straight down the barrel of the lens at the lighthouse, and I'm not using the rule of thirds here. As it is, it's not really a rule, but it is a rule that can be broken. I'm breaking it here this morning. So I'll just spin the camera around and I'll show you my composition in the back of the camera. I hope you can see it. It's still a bit dark here, but we'll give it a go. I'm using the GoPro at this stage, but I'll show you the settings and the composition and exactly what I'm actually photographing right now. Okay, this is the composition that you're looking at. I'll just move it away from the camera. If you can see that there, you can see that I've got the sun right on the horizon there. I might have to use a half grad a bit later on just to bring the exposure down a bit from the sky to level it out on the ground. But I'll go to the back of the camera and we'll see if you can see that or not. But that's exactly what I'm looking at. Now I'm breaking the rule of thirds, as I said. I'm putting the lighthouse right dead smack in the middle of the frame, and really that's a no-go. But in this instance, you can't photograph this any other way, quite frankly. But as you can see, the sun is now starting to peek over the horizon. I think in the next 15 to 20 minutes this is going to be pretty spectacular. I'll switch over to the other camera and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing from there. Okay, so basically I'm set up beautifully now. I have the lighthouse directly in front, shooting down the barrel of the lens. As I said, it's breaking the rule of thirds here, but it's the only way you can really do this or achieve this shot. The sky is absolutely magnificent, and seriously, where else would you rather be? This is just pristine country here in the top end of the central coast of New South Wales. And the first thing you notice when you come to the Norah Head Lighthouse, which was built in 1908, is the way it's been manicured, the way it's been looked after. And I believe the National Trust is involved in this, but it's maintained, because it's an unmanned lighthouse of course, electric, but it's maintained, the grounds, the actual building itself is maintained by a group of volunteers. And that in itself is fantastic. But I have to say, the first thing you do notice when you come here is how manicured it is. It's like military precision here. There's not a blade of grass out of place. It's insane how good this is. I mean, 2 hours to get here, it's an early start, but who cares? Because quite frankly, what I'm looking at now is absolutely magnificent, and I'll show you how to take the photograph of this particular lighthouse, and it's been photographed billions of times, but you can just never get sick of this. So the sun's starting to come up very quickly now. The exposures are changing in the camera, but I'll explain to you in a few minutes what I'm doing, and then at the end of this video I'll put the images up that I've taken here early this morning of this most magnificent structure which we call the Norah Head Lighthouse. Okay, so there she is there in all her glory, the Norah Head Lighthouse, and the light is still on up top obviously, but as you can see how the sun is starting to react with the horizon. We're coming into a golden hour now. We've had the blue hour. The golden hour is happening as you're watching this video, and if you look to the back of the lighthouse, you'll see how the sky is starting to peak, or the colour of the orange of the sky is trying to peek through across the top of the horizon. So it's going to be a beautiful day, but this is just superb scenery here as well. So, but I'm going to switch back over to the big Canon camera, and we'll take a few more shots and I'll explain to you exactly what I'm doing. Okay, ready for the next shot. I'm currently shooting at f8. Now depth of field here really isn't what my worry is today, because I'm just focusing on the lighthouse, so I'm not really focusing from 1/3 of the image to infinity. I just want the lighthouse in focus, and the foreground and background will take care of itself. I'm actually using a remote shutter release as well, because I don't want any camera shake. I'm looking at f8, ISO 100, try and keep the ISO down as low as possible. I might even go to 50, which I can in this Canon camera, which just is insane ISO setting. I'm currently at exposure shutter speed. I'm currently at 1 second. So that's one second exposure. Hence that's why I'm using this. I am at around about 20 millimeters in focal length. I'm using a 17-40 f4 Canon L lens. Great lens, very pin sharp. I'm using manual focus, and I'm also using a Hoodman loop at the back here, so I can put it at the back of the camera and make sure everything's in focus. Very, very simple. A lot of people tend to overcomplicate things when it comes to photography. You don't need to do that. This is very, very simple. I've got a very, very sturdy tripod here. I've got an L bracket. I've got my cable release. I'm shooting at 20 millimeters in focal length. Looking at the actual frame itself, absolutely magnificent. My histogram is slightly to the left, but that's okay, because I'm also shooting in RAW, because in RAW you can recover a lot of detail out of that file, out of that image file. So basically this is going to be another very, very good shot, and as I said, I'll put the shots, these photographs or these images at the end of this video. So the light now is changing, absolutely gorgeous, fantastic. Even if you're not into photography, come up here and sit on a blanket and watch this. This is nature. This is nature's light show. I can't explain how good it is to you. You have to come here and have a look at this. So I'll take the shot now. I'll just check the settings again. ISO 100, aperture of f8. As I said, I'm not worried about depth of field. Manual focus, everything's in focus. Everything's steady, everything's ready to go. We'll take the shot. Absolutely magnificent. Absolutely. The thing with this is you have to be very careful with your metering, because the camera's metering for the brightest part of the sky, and that will make the lighthouse dark. So you have to be very mindful of that, of how you're working your exposures. But basically, very simple, very simple here. Simple composition, simple setup, and you too can take these great shots of this magnificent place, really. Okay, the light's changing very, very quickly now, and the sun is probably about 10 minutes away from coming right up over the horizon, and then basically that'll be about it for us here this morning. But really simple to do. A good sturdy tripod, a low ISO, a fairly wide angle lens, and forget about the rule of thirds, as I said earlier, because you have to shoot the lighthouse straight through the center of the lens. Basically very simple composition, but the idea was to catch that beautiful sun or that glow coming across the ocean towards the lighthouse. And looking in the back of the camera now, it's still absolutely gorgeous. But as I said, a very simple composition. ISO 100, f8 is the aperture, and your exposure times were varying, or 1.5 seconds. Very early on I had to switch to bulb mode. That way I had to keep the exposure open longer than 30 seconds. Most cameras will only let you go to 30 seconds. So it was around about a 30 or 25, 30 second exposure, one of these shots, which you will see at the end of this video. Probably taken about 20, 25 shots here this morning. There's probably only going to be about 3 or 4 that will go in the bag today, but hey, that's photography, you know, and really it's just great being here. So once again, a very simple, basic composition, but the results are absolutely outstanding, especially with the golden hour and the blue hour, which happened a little bit earlier on. So at that stage, I think we're just about over now. I'll probably take another 2 or 3 images, and then I'll put them up at the end of this video, and I hope you like what I've done here today. It's been a really, really good morning, very early morning, but other than that, just fantastic to be here. The Norah Head Lighthouse. Do yourself a favour and get up here, have some lunch, and just look at this most magnificent structure. Fantastic. Okay, there's a few people here now taking selfies and things like that, so that's one thing you've got to be watching out for. That's why I get here rather early, because with photography it's like fishing spots. Get up early and go to the spots that are a bit difficult for people, but here it's very easy for people to turn up. But basically, yeah, they're just milling around here. There's families here now, and I think it's about 6:10, and but what I've done here now that the sky is lighting up dramatically, and it does play a little bit of havoc with the exposure, I've put on a 3-stop half-grade filter, which will bring the sky down and will even out the exposure. Very simple piece of equipment. It's a half-grade piece of glass, which, as I said, half of it's dark and then it peters out to a very soft edge. And what that does, that brings the exposure down from the sky, and it enables me to give a correct exposure for the foreground and the background. So what I'll do, I'll put the camera in front of the, I'll switch to the GoPro, put it on the back of the camera here, and I'll show you exactly how these half-grade filters work. They're an amazing piece of kit. So we're ready to take this shot. The half-grade's on, it's bringing the exposure down. I'm currently at 1/6 of a second. I'm at f11 and I'm shooting in manual. That way I can really control the exposure. Got the cable release here. Let's take the shot. Have a look at it through the back of the viewfinder with the Hoodman loop, or the live view screen. Absolutely gorgeous, one of the best shots of the morning, I think. So that's it probably here for now for Norah Head Lighthouse. It's been a really good morning, very early start, but basically this is very simple photography. Once again, a good sturdy tripod, camera nice and steady, shooting at the lowest ISO possible, which is 100 or even 50, or some, I think the Nikons go to 64. You don't really worry about depth of field here. F8 was what I was shooting at this morning, and looking at the images on the back of the live screen here of the Canon, they're pretty good. I'm really happy with what's transpired here this morning. So I hope you've learned something by this. As I said, there's a few more people milling about here now. I'm getting a bit hungry, and I can feel a coffee coming on. So that's it for me here at Norah Head. I hope you enjoy this video. If you've got any questions or anything you want to know, please put them down in the box below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But other than that, once again, just to finish off here, this is a magnificent part of New South Wales, and the people, well, I'm green with envy, the people that live here. Absolutely magnificent. And some of the shots which you'll see now at the end of this video, might have to print a couple of them and put them in me lounge room. Thanks for watching. I'm Glenn Samuel. You've been watching Sniper Photography, and as I always say, be nice to yourself, family and friends, but most of all, you keep shooting, and bye for now.